Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody feeling today? I get a little noise. Tell me how you feeling today. All right. I'm digging that energy. So welcome once again to Dig a Little Deeper. I'm DJ Jazz. I'll be your, procurer of the random jazz music that you'll hear throughout the night. Welcome to the Chattanooga Beat Interactive Poetry Jam. Today, you won't be just spectators with us, but fellow adventurers. So immerse yourself in a soulful blend of impacting spoken word performances and captivating rhythms. Whether you're an established poet or simply wish to share your innermost thoughts, this is the best platform in the city for self-expression and appreciation. So, don't miss a chance to connect with your fellow artists and engage with our vibrant poetry community, because we're all in this together and you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So with that in mind, can I get a yeah? Yeah! Can I get an oh yeah? Oh yeah! All right, we're going to need that kind of energy throughout the whole show. So our guide today on this poetic journey is none other than the divine poetic diva, Mama D. So let me tell you a little bit about who she is. Mama D is a multi-talented, award-winning spoken word artist, actress, and hip-hop lyricist. Her accolades include four-time national individual champion of the notorious Poetry Slam Nationals. She was featured in the documentary film Slam County and has appeared on the award-winning HBO series Urban Scribes. It has been said that Mama D is the testament of the power of words to change lives. So with that being said, please join me in welcoming to the stage, Mama D.
Thank you, and thank you, DJ Jazz. And thanks to all of you for joining us on this poetic journey tonight. I am honored to serve as the poetic navigator for such a beautiful audience. Give yourselves a hand for being so amazing. So we have an incredible lineup of poets tonight, ready to share their words and their souls. And let's not forget, this is an interactive night. So you will get out of the night what you put into the night, all right? All right? All right. So let's warm up the mic. And I'm going to start out with a short piece to get us in the mood. We are poetry, immersive, a forum, not a form to merely be written and left on the page to die. It exists to be performed. It is the air that we breathe and the life that we live, like water. It flows from heart to fingertips and lucid lips to puddle at feet in humble submission of those who bear witness of its glory. Yeah. It is the difference between being a boulder, unmovable, and being bolder and moving onward and upward. It's a conversation. Verbal engagement, lyrical entanglement, life lived through lines, undefined by time, creating something living, growing, ebbing, flowing, changing, evolving. We are poetry immersive. Of tonight's poetry workshop is place, like location, like where are you standing? We are specifically focusing on the experience of living in Chattanooga, Tennessee in the 1950s all the way up until today. Do we have anyone in the house tonight who is from Chattanooga? Woo! All right, wonderful, wonderful. Then you will probably be able to relate to some of what you are going to hear tonight. And I'm going to need your help as we set the stage for each of tonight's performances. Can I get a little help from you tonight? Yeah! We are going to welcome each poet by repeating their name and telling them to dig a little deeper. All right? So, our first poet of the night is someone who has lived in a textile mill village most of her life. She is a fierce wordsmith whose verses cut deep, please welcome Deb to the stage. So I need your help. Let's set the stage for Deb by giving her permission to dig a little deeper. Are you ready?
Yes.
Everyone, Deb, dig a little deeper.
I haven't touched the things most women crave, the touch of silk, perfumes, and jewels.
No, girl. Wait a minute. That is what we're not going to do. So there are some strong images, so I need you to add some feeling to your words. Show some emotion, put expression in your eyes. Light up if you're feeling happy, but if it's bad, then let those tears roll down. So let's do that again.
I got it. He said, light up if I'm feeling happy. Yes, yeah. I haven't owned the things most women crave, the touch of silk, perfumes, and jewels, but I've caressed dewdrops in the morning light, felt the warm sun's breath rise, and the comfort of tender friendships in this mill village where I live for 72 years. You might have noticed me, the warm, cheerful woman in the Dolly Parton t-shirt, face wrinkled with age, leaning out my kitchen window with a cigarette stub squeezed tight between teeth as I take communion from a casual breeze. I blow trouble away through smoke hole after smoke hole until my thoughts turn to what I treasure most: family, friends, dogs, and of course my gardens. Sometimes I sit on the back porch facing the strawberries, gaze across the field where the old mill stood tall above our village, dirtying it, smoking it like unfiltered cigarettes, covering up gardens with smog and foul odor. That mill's gone now, but I can still picture those pale-faced mill workers every evening trudging past me to get to third shift. Mill houses line our road like boxcars, so close. If you spit off the side of the porch, you can hit 4 houses if you got the wind. When neighbors fight, come home drunk, make up in bed, everyone knows whether they want to or not. Squares, squares, everything squares, sidewalks and lawns, porches and houses, brains after working in the mill all day. Kids used to play stickball in the streets until they got old enough to smoke and drink and raise hell. Couple of years of that, it's mill time for them. Can you see how mill and hell sound alike and spelled almost alike too? I used to watch my husband cough up lint all day, but on the porch, we remember a different time. Farming, perhaps, woods and streams thick with trout, apple trees dropping fruit into our calloused hands. Young guys used to say they wouldn't stay in the village the rest of their lives. Just temporary, they boast. Old men laugh. Temporary, my ass. But listen here. God has hung over this village like a rusty fishhook. Mamas and grandmamas have felt his presence as they raise their babies to the stars and whisper in their ears that the breaks in the clouds are really holes in the floor of heaven. Today, The crank and clatter of the mill is gone. Whistles have stopped blowing, leaving our ancestors talking above the silence. I can still hear their voices. Bless each day's creation, they say. The sweat and grit that wove it, the oily grace that gives us faith. So see how that feels against your skin and wear it well.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, I felt that all the way down to my booted toes. Let's give another round of applause today. We will now hear from Moses, a well-known civil rights activist and former Chattanooga City Councilman. Let's welcome him as he comes. So we are going to set the stage for Moses by giving him permission to dig a little deeper. Are you ready? Yes. Everyone, Moses, dig a little deeper.
This piece is called Newsboy. It's about my experience delivering the Chattanooga Times as a kid. In 1953, my paper route was lassoed by the Red Line, serving the working black, the elderly, and the poor living in tar paper islands. The old healer woman who hung medicine roots out to dry over her wood stove. I can still picture it all. In the afternoons, I pedaled past white birches, breathed the smoke of spring chimneys, my heart pumping uphill towards someone hungry for the word of the world. My name is Mercury, bearing news. My wings, a single-speed maroon Schwinn bike, purchased with my earnings. I sear a bright path through Churchville, Orchard Knob, Lincoln Park, Scruggstown, to the sick, the tired, and the lonely. Downtown, they start to come out, because at dusk, I sneak into the city behind the skyline, up steel grids, past the old factories, last hot breath, pushing itself everywhere like a stain. But downtown, they started to come out. White men in black suits who can't wait to loosen their ties. Just can't wait to loosen it, wait to loosen their ties. Secretaries exit buildings alone, with their white gloved hands cupped as if in Methodist prayer. At 5 o'clock, everyone wants bourbon, the Times, and sleep. Businessmen pass me muttering, "Go on back home, boy." Sales girls rush to the bus stop, the smell of gardenias, stiletto heels clicking, stocking legs, nylon against flesh, swishing like castanets. On the street corner, newspapers hide faces. Headlines turn this whole world into one single idea. The old drunk propped on the street corner with a smile on his face is asleep, but his smile is if it could save the whole city. When newspapers are delivered and sold, my wire basket empty. I push past the darkness towards supper, confident and knowing that I've quenched the day's thirst. stronger in the knowing that I'll be needed again tomorrow.
Times have changed so much from when papers were delivered to doorsteps by newsboys. Thank you, Mr. Moses, for sharing with us this evening. Now let's please welcome Evangeline to the mic. Her mama worked for the Coosa Mill in Chattanooga during the 1950s. So let's set the stage for Evangeline by giving her permission to dig a little deeper. Everyone, Evangeline, dig a little deeper.
It was a Saturday. Whether sunny or cloudy, hot or cold, I can't say. But I do remember it was a Saturday because Mama was off work and downtown was packed with back-to-school shoppers. She is short, skinny, my Mama. Easy to overlook in a crowd because, well, there was nothing extraordinary to see. On that day, we ride the bus to town. Strolling down Market Street, we peek at windows in fleeting glances because we both know what's waiting in her purse, a few dollars and change. I look up at the pretty ladies we pass. They strut in 5-inch heels that click glamorously on the street and glow in bright, elaborate clothing, faces clear of wrinkles, wiped away with expensive creams. An uneasy feeling starts to settle in my chest. I try to push it out, but it takes root, refuses to be yanked up and tossed away. It's getting heavier with each second until I can deny it no longer. I am ashamed of my Mama. As we stroll into Loveman's, where high-class women coo over evening dresses and mink coats. I glance at the elegant ladies, then turn accusing eyes on Mama. Study the heavy lines around her mouth, etched deep into her skin, without luxurious lotions to ease them away. She's wearing cheap clothes with torn seams, shoes with soles worn down. Her eyes tired from working long hours at the mill to make ends meet. And her hair, much too gray for her age. I look at Mama, and shame comes over me. As she ambles into the children's department, I hurry away to the bathroom to hide my face. Finally, making my way back, I find her standing in the middle of the floor, holding up a sweater that looks much too expensive. "This will look good on you. Do you want it?" she says. Just as I am about to say, "No thanks," carelessly, thoughtlessly, I take a closer look at the small, weary woman with a big smile sweeping across her narrow face, with an outstretched sweater in her hands, happy to be giving me something so nice. The dismissive words die in my throat. Suddenly, my Mama is beautiful in my eyes. I am no longer ashamed of her, but of myself for thinking she was anything but wonderful. "Do you want it?" she repeats. With a repentant smile, I answer, "Yes, please."
Oh, Evangeline, you truly pierced our hearts with that one. Thank you so very much for taking us to that place. So let me see the hands of the people in the room who remember Loveman's. You remember Loveman's? Yes, so So I wasn't around then, but I guess Lovemans is kind of like how Timu is now. Is that kind of how the place to be? She's got the song. It was the place to be. It was the place to be. Our next poet is a newcomer to the Chattanooga beats, but has already made waves with her unique style, Roberta. Let's welcome her to the mic. And you know what to do. Roberta, dig a little deeper.
After gardening in Mrs. Spencer's yard for 12 hours, my daddy would put on Miles Davis's Kind of Blue and holler me into the garage when he got home. Hear this, girl? 1, 4, 5. That's all they play, sons of bitches. I never understood how a man could break his back hour after hour, then come home and listen to Miles Davis for 3 more. When So What comes on, Daddy pops open a 40-ounce Colt 45 and an Orange Crush lemonade. Sometimes Daddy would sing the words that Miles didn't need. Coltrane fading in after Miles' solo, then Miles is gone, not to come back to the end. Those were the rules. My daddy taught me that. Rhythm section keeps time like running water. Snare brush, brush on, over and again. Coltrane catches a wind of the last phrase, echoes. My daddy, he goes off in his mind somewhere, wherever he went. Maybe a cold cooler full of catfish or a sharp cleaning knife. Fish guts on his collar and his glasses, blue glint in his hair. He's playing my So What instead of recounting a fish story. Miles once said, if you hit a wrong note, it's the next one that determines if your music is good or bad. His take on writing: first you imitate, then you innovate. That one set me on the path to writing, and look at me now. So what? That's what.
It's amazing how jazz can transport us and take us to a whole new place. Are there any jazz lovers in the room tonight? Any people who love jazz music? Yes, DJ Jazz, we know. It's your namesake. We get it. So let's clap it up one more time for Roberta and keep it going as we welcome Camelia to the mic. Camelia. Clap a little bit more. There. Camelia describes herself as a Southern belle, leashed to history. And we cannot wait to hear about your historical attachment. It is very important that the poet be comfortable. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Everyone, Camelia, dig a little deeper.
Mama was the first divorcee in our town. Despite keeping the Good Wife Guide on her bedside table, the guide for 19 rules for keeping a happy husband, she tried all the tips, such as having a frosted daiquiri cocktail and an offer to take off my daddy's shoes when he walked in the door. He left anyway. So Mama made up rules of her own, such as life's too sad to wear cheap mascara. She began to dress for comfort. However, once a week, she kicked off the unlaced kids, cold pressed her pasted shut crying eyes, unloosed the hair, tied back with a plain rubber band, and threw off the print house dress that bore the stains of her life. Blueberries, blood, and bleach. It could all disappear with the paints and polishes in 4 mysterious dressing table drawers and a 3-way mirror. The ritual went like this. First, she pulls on sheer nylon stockings and black high heels before studying her reflection. In the depths of those mysterious drawers, she lifts little white jars with pink tops and tiny roses and opens a high-domed box of face powder that blows heaven sent across the room. I watch her crack the lid of a pearl-covered compact and dab, dab, here and there, and then snap it shut with a glamorous click. When her canvas is covered, she drapes it with a simple black shift and disappears. She doesn't look back. Not even once. Not even to whisper my name. I imagine her meeting a brown-eyed, handsome man in the green room of the Reed House Hotel, sipping fine wine over titillating chit-chat. Years later, I learned she carried herself to the movies. Those nights, leaving me to wrestle with it all, happily thinking she found romance and jealous at the same time. Of what? I still can't say.
What an amazing story. So, she mentioned the Reed House. Has anybody here been to the Reed House before? Yes, yes. I've heard that it is a beautiful historic landmark here in the city. So if you have not been, I encourage you to go. And if you have been, I encourage you to go again and take me with you. Let's give another round of applause for sharing a beautiful story. Next up is Nicole. Nicole could come to the mic. Everyone, you know what to do. Nicole, dig a little deeper.
I glanced at jagged glass, embedded in 2 arching cedars. A makeshift cemetery gate for unmarked graves. Hidden among debris and dereliction, covered with brush. Fieldstone monuments spread out like haphazard constellations, as if they'd been backswiped by the devil's impudent hand. All of it gives me pause to shiver. Whew. Wonder what it would be like to be dead in a place like this. And I feel a presence, and turn to find a thin-framed man whose shoulders are rounded up by time like he's perpetually shrugging something away. A worry, a compliment, or a question too big to answer. And his hair has aged gray, though his brows hold out almost as dark as when he was a boy. Y'all, in one hand he had an axe, and he had a chainsaw in the other. "Morning, ma'am," he says. And then he begins tearing weeds and vines, smothering tombstones, choking memories, burying the dead again and again. Giving no explanation of his actions, he continues as if nudged by some force much greater than a paycheck or mere human motives. The next day, he brings me a folding chair so I can sit and keep an eye on him as he hacks away at the arm-thick vines and drags rotten branches from the graves. And soon this darkness, the darkness of the place, it lightens. And I can see that he's carving out a place for himself. He's dragging away his own debris, uncovering earth that hadn't seen the light of day in decades. There's something else at play here. An unknown element, complicit when a person commits to an act beyond standard human kindness. The mystery of service. An ineffable arithmetic of someone giving of himself until he's nearly gone and somehow even more fully alive. Everyone needs a good clearing. Rooted in tenderness, to open life's veins where darkness no longer shields the past or turns humans into animal prey. Where darkness is but a ghost of an idea, barely remembered. A most strange prayer where our lingering ears are torn from shreds of forgotten years. That much is clear.
Well, thank you, Nicole. That was enlightening. I must ask, what was it about that experience that caused you to write about it?
Well, I was really touched that man, he was really caring for ancestors, and they weren't his own ancestors. He was simply paying his respects to those who'd gone before him without even expecting money in return or praise or anything. To me, he was really a true public servant.
Yes. I get it. I thank you so very much. Thank you, Nicole. That is really good.
Mama D.
Yes.
I know I'm not an elder, but can I tell my story?
Well, yes. I don't know your name.
My name's Melanie.
Okay. All right. Certainly. Next up will be Melanie, and Melanie will share their coming of age experience. So, are you ready to hear from Melanie? Yes. Everyone, Melanie, dig a little deeper.
Yes, I was molested by my stepdad when I was 12. And yes, my mother asked me, "Do you want me to leave him?" As if I would make the decision for her and be responsible for all the future loneliness and resentment sure to come. I often felt her moral compass was in the wind. Yes, my mother's solution to my stepdad's pedophilia was a lock on my bedroom door while shielding him from Child Protective Services. Yes, that was the end of sleepovers at my house. Yes, I was further separated when I was sent to a different middle school than all my friends. And yes, I was a VIP in the middle school counselor's office, in there crying most days, when all hope felt abandoned. Yes, at an early age, I realized it was up to me to protect myself. So I made a quick transformation from a little girl wearing pink and purple dresses and taking sewing lessons to a tomboy in gym shorts powerlifting at Brett's Fitness. I was not going to present as cute and girly. I joined the chess club and won tournaments where logic and cunning prevailed. Walling up my vulnerable emotions, I moved on to high school, where I started to question my sexuality. I denied I was a lesbian, even though I felt jealous every time my best friend Missy was with her boyfriend and not me. I followed that red flag, who the hell knows where. Besides, I stalked New Kids on the Block and the hotel after the concert. And Donnie Wahlberg was my favorite. I did crush on Chili, this one, from TLC. But I also had a crush on LL Cool J, so it all evened up, right? The one person I could always trust was my mom's youngest sister, Judy, who always wished she was a lesbian. She used to say, 2 women can have a more beautiful relationship than a man and a woman ever could. She wrote fiction and poetry and advocated for the environment. She modeled for me how to be comfortable in my own skin. I think she knew I was queer. And maybe I did too. You know, homophobic people argue that girls who are molested choose to become lesbians because they hate men. No, I don't hate men. And I don't even hate my stepdad anymore. And no, I didn't become a lesbian because of him. And no, it had nothing to do with hating my body. I just love it enough to let it go. Treat it like a house. And when your house is falling apart, you don't evacuate. You make it comfortable enough to lodge all your insides. You make it pretty enough to invite guests over. You make the floorboards strong for you to stand on. I am now living my happy days. I have a wife who I adore, lean into emotional and sometimes difficult conversations. I am refueled by the arts and keep the bird feeders full.
What a powerful message. Thank you for your transparency and for your acceptance of finding your true self. There are so many people who go their entire lives and are never able to find and own their truth and walk in that thing. Thank you so very much for trusting our stage with your story. The next poet is an avid fisherman who has a gifted fishing pole and, from what I understand, a pretty gifted pen as well. Let's welcome Leroy Jr. to the stage. Everyone, Leroy Jr. dig a little deeper.
I sit on the porch steps and watch my daddy lean his hefty body against the back of Uncle Joe's wagon. In the background, a mushroom rock rises looming like an anchored rain cloud. Cousin Buddy crouches next to a wagon wheel, right hand knuckling the swept dirt yard. My older brother stands nearby, cross-armed, like all of them, proud of today's accomplishment. Loud enough to wake the dead, Granny hissed. As their fingers rattled front door hinges, they barged in, uninvited, muddied a freshly mopped floor, and flung open the bedroom door. Entering the darkened room, they shared news of their great luck with my granddaddy. 12 rod-doubling trout caught that morning in Chickamauga Creek. Wow. Finally, words weren't enough. They slung the bedpan into the corner, tumbled sheets to the floor, gripping wasted flesh between them as they dragged my granddaddy, barefoot and pajamaed, into that July afternoon. In the oak tree's mighty shade, they opened the fish-gorged icebox, worried a rainbow of flies, measured, recounted each fish story, arguing worms versus corn, silk versus cotton lines. They would not leave until Granny came out and acknowledged the moment. A slight nod, then shook her pointer finger, one-eyed at those who dared disturb the dying. Years later, I can still see Granddaddy's face, a slight grin behind that cigarette, so content with family and a simple life. Amidst our hardships, there's a sweetness that dwells in our family.
And there is also a sweetness in your story. Thank you so very much for taking us back to that place. Thank you, Leroy Jr. Next up is Dolly. Is Dolly in the room? Let's welcome her as she comes. I see her coming. Let's welcome her as she comes to the mic. Yes, Dolly. Okay, Dolly. I will say, it is not only that I trust Dolly's poetry, my sincere belief is that her creativity unlocks the potential for liberation. So, everyone, let's help welcome Dolly by telling her to dig a little deeper. Are you ready? Yeah. Here we go. Dolly, dig a little deeper.
Isn't it funny that when white folks ask us about Black lives, they assume we automatically will talk about our pain, as if joy in our stories is accidental. Or maybe they expect to see my mouth wide open in wild protest, as if my voice could flatten a fence, tear apart a tree in the course of my thundering tongue. I have been a Black woman for a long time. And my story is not about pain or protest. It's about speaking simple truths. Beware my smile. I'm treacherous with truth. I've been told to lose my attitude, as if it wasn't already encrypted into my DNA by a mother who refused to abandon hope when her husband touched a live wire and was electrocuted on the job, leaving her with 8 children to raise. A mother who spoke up and made sure all 8 received the opportunity to earn college degrees. I am a truth teller who hoists the curtain to show the underdog's plight when everything seems certain but nothing at all looks right. I was taught by my mother, speak your truth even if your voice shakes. And if a kind friend says, be nice, tell her, thanks, I hear you. But I'm gonna speak my truth anyway. Women in my day were taught to please, but truth must not give way to comfort. The truth is neither positive nor negative, though sometimes honesty rattles the faint-hearted. Like the time I asked my children's teachers why they had no homework at Westview Elementary. Or spoke up for the black boarding student at Baylor about to be expelled and sent back to New York. That kind boy we took into our home. Or the time I was part of a quota in a company where the HR department was limited to one black professional at a time. But here's a truth I'm happy to report. When my husband and I started our own downtown business in 1987, 3 Chattanooga banks offered business loans to support our venture. Now, I appreciate my white friends who say they feel sad about how blacks have been treated the past 400 years. Yet some caution me that change does not come overnight. I chuckle to myself and remind them that 400 plus years is hardly an overnight effort. I also heard it said, strong black women will save us all. What a burden. What a burden to bear. What a falsehood. It is not my job to save us all. I don't want to be a star, but part of a constellation. Listen close and don't fear. Mine is not a small voice you hear. I work, pray, and try to behave. But that mouth of mine, oh, that mouth of mine, it gets me into a lot of good trouble. Mine is a loud voice that has no fear. Make no mistake, though, mine is also a love-colored voice, a loud love you can feel. Though truth may hurt, I cannot live in gloom, as my mind is fashioned for hoping, and my heart seeks a world in bloom. Oh, that was nice. There's a lot of sage and seasoned wisdom in that woman. She said, I wrote it down, she said, truth must not give way to comfort. And that means, oh yes, that means that your truth may make others uncomfortable. And it also means that your truth is more important than their comfort. Oh, darling, that'll preach. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So thank you so much, darling. Thank you so very much. Oh my. Do you need to speak, young lady? Well, come on to the mic.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I'm a resident at the Silverdale Detention Center, but I was given a weekend pass to visit my sick grandmother. This is my first time performing here, so please bear with me.
Can we say, Crystal, dig a little deeper?
Let's do that. Okay, everyone. Crystal, dig a little deeper. Thank you.
All my life, I have tried to make bread by burying trouble beneath the surface and praying for a bountiful loaf to rise, as if tainted loaves would break ground like wheat in the spring, offering blessings of hope and tranquility. My loaves are made of a lifetime of secrets. The men who put their hands on me, beat me, left me for dead, and all the times I cooked and crooked, got caught with my hands in the dough. Those loaves hold all my father's drunken rages, all my mother's worried edges. Oh, how I longed to smooth the river of her. But I am the daughter who sold drugs, who traded my soul for an 8-ball and 2/5 of Jim Beam. My bread, unearthed from some forgotten meth kitchen, was dark and moldy and full of rotten memories. Before I got to prison, the drugs and the booze had eaten the hand that feeds me, then the arm, the elbow, the shoulder. Hell, it had eaten my whole body alive until I heard the ending to my story. A plastic tarp and a plush ride to the morgue. But now, in these prison walls, a little while dry, a little while with no chattering chimp between my ears, I fall upon my knees and plead to God, please deliver me from the desires that fire the night with infinite longing. What I want you to know about me is that I am strong. And I have hope and faith that after my release, I will be graced by a fresh loaf that steams when I slice it, leavened by the clean air I breathe.
What an amazing story. And the analogy to the bread, it was the thread that held your entire story together and held us all captive. We thank you so very much for sharing with us this evening. Another round of applause for Kristen. What an incredible night. Now let's welcome to the stage Maya, who will be performing a piece about her first love. Let's welcome Maya. So everyone, Maya, dig a little deeper.
In high school, my boyfriend Henry worked at the A&P grocery store stocking shelves on Fridays until midnight. After his shift, I'd sneak out of my house to meet him down at the tracks by the cotton mill, where he lifted me and the quilt I carried into an empty boxcar. All night. All night. We were surrounded by the wild thunder of looms and roar of trains passing on adjacent tracks, hauling bales of cotton or rolls of muslin on their way to the bleachery to be whitened, patterned into stripes and checks or still life gardens of wisteria and rose. I remember the night we listened to the year-end countdown on my transistor radio. Heartbreak Hotel by Elvis is #1 on WFLI. Henry always picked the big jet fly over WLAC, the nighttime blues station for half the nation. Personally, I like Little Anthony and the Imperials, Sam Cooke, and how Johnny Mathis sings about love. But Henry fancied Elvis, so he sings Jailhouse Rock, nodding his noggin like a bobblehead doll, his smile spreading over us like a cold we're almost happy to have. We dance to the slow ones in heavy boots and coats, our breath filling the air with moist heat. And when the whistle signals the end of third shift at the mill, Henry lifts me down to the gravel and takes me home. If my mama ever knew, she didn't say. Grateful, I reckon, for damaged goods stolen from the A&P stockroom and mysteriously left on our kitchen table. Slashed bags of rice and beans that Henry tenderly bandaged with masking tape. Cans without labels, cereals and detergents in varying stages of destruction, but plenty enough to get us by for the week. Some Saturday mornings, we might even find some plums and cherries, tender and delicious, still whole inside the mutilated cans, floating in their own sweet juice.
Great job, Maya. This is what poetry is about. It's about sharing our truths and connecting with others, and you definitely connected with us tonight. So thank you very much, Maya. Another round of applause. And now we have Anthony.
I'm a mathematician.
Wait. We can't have a choir without a director. Y'all was just all over the place. His name is Anthony. Everyone, Anthony, dig a little deeper.
I'm a mathematician. In spite of the white teacher at Central High School in 1967 who assumed black students couldn't do math. I could have told her that we brought this skill from Africa when we were subtracted from her shores, added to a system of forced servitude, and divided as property over 400 years. We were the multiplier of American wealth, but seen only as a fraction of a human being. When I was a child growing up in the Bozentown neighborhood of Chattanooga, sheltered in blackness, it was easy to live in what I couldn't see for a while. Such is life. Just because there's a warm breeze in January doesn't mean a storm isn't brewing. And it came shortly when I was bused to Central High School, where the arithmetic of skin appeared, and the racial shelter of my childhood was reduced to zero. I looked for a teacher that looked like the ones I had at Orchard Knob Junior High, and was met with silence, which is different than folks saying nothing, like the sound of smoke mistaken for silence. The teachers at Central High were saying everything when they actually said nothing. Covert racism in the classroom was evident in the Moms Mabley joke during the Civil Rights era. Teacher said, "White boy, spell cat. White boy, spell rat. Little colored boy, spell chrysanthemum." My second year, all hell broke loose from the white students after Dr. King was assassinated. Klansmen appeared outside of our high school. White boys yelled, "We killed that nigger King." And you're next. The only ally for black students was the custodian whose face was compassionate but sad, having missed equal opportunity by large fractions. Nevertheless, his door was always open with a lunch to share. Throughout college, black students were broken down like quadratic equations, how square roots cut in half. Despite math professors who found me wanting compared to my white counterparts, I persevered as I have a gift for solving problems. If train A leaves Chattanooga at a fixed rate, I know when it will meet train B. But there were moments like being denied into the PhD program in economics because of the color of my skin, when I wondered if the trains would crash. Oh, Lord. Picturing my torn limbs through Pullman windows, each a small figment of frustrated linear equation. I knew X, or thought I did, showed it back and forth across the inequality sign. The unknown was not always solvable, even to a brilliant mathematician looking for answers to what I thought were questions. So I quit looking for answers and decided to live the question. And when I come to a fork in the road, I choose one. Like a huge, gentle black dog who takes a bite out of every bark. I've learned to live one day at a time. Through 35 years at TVA, teaching yoga and owning my own studio, married happily to my sweetheart for 44 years with 2 beautiful, successful daughters. Just like math, yoga is also about solving problems. It transforms anger into beauty. I can't go through life not liking people because they didn't have to work as hard or come as far as I did. These days, I still dream in numbers, but I prefer to add than subtract.
It is now time for the final poet of the night. Have you enjoyed your time with us tonight? I am so very glad to hear that because we have certainly enjoyed our time with you. The final poet of the night is none other than Momota. So open your ears, your mind, and most of all your heart as we prepare to hear from our grand elder. Let's welcome Ms. Momota. Everyone, Ms. Momota, dig a little deeper.
Yes, I am 98 years old. And I still pray, meditate, exercise, and keep my mind busy writing poetry, painting, crafting, and working on crossword puzzles. I have a routine. Never leave my room in the morning without making my bed. Breakfast is always cereal, banana, and tea. Then exercises, beginning with 20 squats and 30 touch toes. Here's what I want to say to you. The most important thing for us to do is love God. You don't have to go to church. God isn't a religion. It's love. All right. The very reason we are in this world is to love and take care of each other. It is important that we find God in every human. If you want peace of mind, don't find fault with others. No one is a stranger, my child. We are all one. My name is Momota, and I grew up in India. But Chattanooga is my home, and I love it so much. It has welcomed me for 33 years, and my door is always open to you. If you visit, I will show you my prayer room with photos of Jesus and Mary, Buddha, Sarada Devi, Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, and Kali. Truth and virtue are the same in all religions. Love of God is the essential thing. All else is unreal. I have felt the weight of stones by those who would condemn me as an outsider, suffered the words of those who look down upon me as inferior. But I say to you, please do not throw stones. Please don't spread your religion by the use of the sword. Be open to all religions that spread love. Someone once asked me, Mo, do you believe in God? I answered, sure, lots of them. Work hard to become enlightened. Pearls live in the deep sea, but we must hazard to find them. If diving once does not bring you pearls, don't conclude the sea is without them. Dive again and again. Set your heart upon the work, but never on its reward. The greatest contentment comes from devotion alone, and not from its rewards. We all make mistakes. Have no regrets. The only true regret is spending your life worrying about the future. Let go of sorrow. It is only longing for the past. Listen to others with all your heart. The highest pleasure is to hear a good story. God bless.
We thank you, Ms. Momota, for sharing your story with us and all of your wisdom. So let's give one more round of applause for all of the amazing poets tonight. And could each of you join me? Could each of you join me on stage? Keep the round of applause coming. Let's give it up for DJ Jazz. Yes. Let's give it up for our director, Infinite Easley. And I am Mama D. And I want to thank you. Okay, you can stop clapping. I'm talking. I am Mama D. And I want to thank you for joining us at the Chattanooga Beat Poetry Jam. Remember, the life that you live today will fill the history books of tomorrow. We are the storytellers. We are the keepers of the word. So write it out, shout it out, jam it out, and join me one more time in saying, dig a little deeper.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming and being such a wonderful audience, and also give a shout out to Rhyme N Chatt, the most amazing interactive poetry group in Chattanooga. And to Melanie Silver for writing her own monologue. Is ETN up here? Get up here. And this fabulous director. Thank you, Joelle. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, everyone. There will be a book signing in the front.
Peggy's book, and some of the monologues, as I mentioned earlier, are in that book. So thank you for coming out, and good night.